everybody. Welcome to the Full Court Press MMA. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Do not forget that you can find me on social media at DrewDuncan83 across the board on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. And of course, you can always find our Full Court Press subsidiaries, football and basketball. Guys, I am here with a man who is no stranger to our program, but he is the first official in-studio guest. His name is Steven the Ninja Nguyen, fighting at 145 on his second title defense for EFC coming up on April the 13th. Steven, thank you so much for joining the program.
Hey, bro, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So, kind of you and I were talking before. You were there cornering David Rickles through the MVP fight. There were a lot of people that said that Rickles just gave up. From a guy that was right there, what was really happening?
Man, David was already losing that fight already, and as much as I wanted him to continue, that cut was bad, man. A lot of people didn't really get to see it, but man, his bone was sticking out. His bone was sticking out all the way. Honestly, what I thought was the doctors were going to stop it anyways. I mean, they were going to take a look at it and stop it. That gash was bad. It wasn't just a little cut. And, all these people that criticize him, they're not fighters. They don't know what they're talking about, So, and MVP, he's one of the best fighters in the world, and shit happens. So that's how I saw it, It wasn't the best day for David, but we learned, and the cut was way worse than people think. So
obviously he comes back, he beats AJ Matthews recently. My thing is are we overly critical of athletes now in this day and age where it feels like everybody has an opinion and maybe they shouldn't necessarily vocalize that opinion?
I mean, everybody, no matter what, everybody's gonna have haters, everybody's gonna have supporters. It's just the name of the game, especially in MMA, because it's fighting, and like when you lose in MMA, it's not like just losing in a soccer game or something like that. When you lose in MMA, you're usually beat up and you just got knocked out or something like that. So it's a big deal. It's a sensitive subject, but at the end of the day, what fighters need to do is just block everything out. Just know that you're gonna have supporters, you're gonna have haters. At the end of the day, just worry about the people that are around you and that support you. So
one of the things that I recently talked to Thomas Gifford about, he's preparing for his UFC debut, is he said, once you're in that octagon, and this is something that Cub Swanson has said too, it's just you and the person standing across from you.
Right.
They believe that it's the purest form of sport. Would you attest to that?
100%. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a team sport. It's about what you do in your training camp. It's your skills versus his skills, and it's a different feeling when you're actually in there and fighting and when you're throwing shots at each other and just testing each other's skills. It's the most purest form of combat. Combat sports, period. Purest form.
I always love this question, and I feel like I have to ask it because when you and I first met, you told me that you were going to WSU and you were studying business. Why have you chosen an alternate career path that says, you know what, I want to get my head kicked in? Because you think about David and his eye exploding, or Cyborg when MVP caught him right in the forehead, and caved it in. Why have you chosen this?
Why have I chosen this path? Well, I mean, I am going to school at WSU right now, but that's actually not an alternate. WSU is my ultimate path. This is my ultimate dream. I've grown up doing martial arts my whole life, man, since I was 5 years old. So it's kind of like second nature to me. Yeah, I think about that, but that's part of the sport to me. It doesn't scare me. It scares me, but like, I know that's part of the sport, and that's just the warrior's way. I'd rather go out with my shield on my back. You know what I mean? And going to WSU, I'm actually going to be graduating in May.
Okay.
So, I'll have my degree, but then now I want to be able to pursue my dream 100% and go all the way to the UFC, train as hard as I can, keep fighting, and do what I love to do. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be like, what if? I want to go in there and do what I love to do, and this is fighting. So,
I think you're a hell of a promoter, Steven. And one of the things, you're welcome. One of the things that I've talked to other promoters about is they feel that their jobs are actually more complicated because guys don't take initiatives to do a lot of the things that you do with social media and volunteer work. Is it the fighter's responsibility to promote themselves, or is it the promoter, whose job title is promoter, to promote the fighter and let the fighters fight?
I think it's a little bit of both, but at the end of the day, like I said, this is not no team sport. This is about you and how you put yourself out there. And, I'm in school right now for marketing, so I understand what it takes. And, there's more than this sport than just fighting itself. You got to promote yourself. You got to get people to like you, hate you, whatever. But at the end of the day, they need to be able to watch you. And you know, I'm constantly just doing whatever I can to continue to level my career up. So if that's fighting outside the cage, inside the cage, I'm doing everything, you know, everything possible to get to that next level.
You know, marketing, strategy, money, business, when all is said and done, that's what sports really is. Is that the approach that you take?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, I know that marketing is a big part of it. Just sponsorships, doing videos, commercials, pictures, you know, keeping my followers updated with what I'm doing. Sometimes it's talking shit, you know, sometimes it's doing good charity work for the kids, things like that. But the thing is, I enjoy all of it. So it's not I'm doing this and I'm trying to be a fake person. I'm doing all this. Like, I enjoy all this stuff. Like, I enjoy that I have the opportunities to go out there to talk to kids at schools and encourage them. It's one of the coolest things ever to see other people grow through what you can do, you know, and you know, just promoting and all that, it comes natural to me. So I feel like I have all the tools it takes to be in the sport and be at the highest level. And, you know, here we sit.
I think two names come to mind when it comes to winning and yet still people being critical of them. Tom Brady would be one, right? And then the other one would be Floyd Mayweather.
Right.
Now, you as an MMA guy, when you see Floyd Mayweather and what he does inside of a boxing ring, ultimately, is he maybe the best fighter that we've ever seen and we just couldn't appreciate it?
So, like, this is my take on him. I mean, he's definitely the best fighter of all time because of just his record and what he's done. And despite his style being defensive and people saying that, like, you know, he's not exciting, things like that, but at the end of the day, he still wins.
Right.
And I mean, he doesn't care about what people says. You can tell that, you know, by the way he carries himself. Money talks, you know what I'm saying? And I might not even like his style. Like, I probably don't really like his style, but at the end of the day, it's not about style. It's not about that. It's about if you win or not. Because winning takes care of everything. You know, you win, that's all that matters.
You know, the thing I've always said is, it's not how you get it done. It's getting it done.
Just getting the job done.
And what sells tickets is winning.
Right, exactly. So,
I mean, to me, that's the bottom line, right?
Yeah, for sure. And like a lot of people they're talking the same thing about Tyron Woodley, about how he was boring. You know, I can see why they say that. But at the end of the day, he's a champion. He's still a champion. He was winning his fights. And I mean, you know, if you don't want to watch his fights, you don't have to watch his fights. But at the end of the day, he wins. So you can't really. I mean, you can criticize him, but you can't knock him down that bad because he's still winning. So, I mean, that's what it is, bro. So,
Steven, I've seen some interviews. You're like, I'm going to the UFC. There was talk last year, right around May or June, of you doing some stuff with the UFC. Just saw a post not too long ago about a new contract. I mean, what can you tell us? What's going on in the world of Steven Nguyen right now? So,
you know, I usually take my fights one fight at a time. I have a big fight coming up April 13th right now. I'm going to be defending my title for the second time against a tough opponent. So I'm just worried about that right now. But I am under Iridium Sports Agency, and it's a really good agency. My manager, Jason, me and I have been talking about the UFC Contender Series potentially for this summer. So we're going to be shooting real hard and pushing real hard to get me on there. So I'm real hopeful about the opportunity, and especially after this fight, that's what we'll be looking forward to.
Bellator, UFC, does it matter to you as long as it's the next step?
I mean, it's as long as it's the next step, that's the main thing. Obviously, I want to be in the UFC, the greatest organization in the world for fighting, you know. But like I said, when the opportunity is open, I'll take it, and we'll see what happens. But like I said, right now it's just so, because I'm 2 weeks away out from this fight, I'm so focused on nothing but this fight, and that's just the way I am, man. I'm so focused just only on this fight and fighting in my hometown. Could possibly be the last time I fight here. Just really focus on getting this win and straining my ass off, and you know, that's the only thing I'm focused on.
You know, and I know that before you and I actually got going, you were talking about weight cutting, and I think that this has become a really huge topic of discussion, is the weight cutting process. And I just saw how ONE FC does something a little bit different with their weight cut process. It's more about your walking around weight and being within a certain, you know, weight range. Do you think that we can change the weight cutting process? Again, is that the fighter's responsibility? Because I've heard of guys doing the gradual cut.
Yeah,
then, of course, we've had people like, Chris Harris who dropped 20 pounds in 2 days.
A day or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what is Steven's philosophy on it, and what can we do to make it better?
Well, for me, like I've been wrestling for a while, so I've kind of always been used to cutting weight, and I know the correct way to do it. I mean, I can't make weight in like a couple weeks or anything like that, but
no, hell.
But I know how to cut weight the correct way, and I usually feel good in my fight. So the cutting weight thing is not a huge issue for me, but I do like what one FC, what they're doing, things like that. I feel like it's safer for the fighters because I know a lot of guys that really put themselves through a lot to cut all this weight, and sometimes they don't perform the way they should be. So for me personally, not a big issue for me. I know how to cut weight correctly. I diet correctly, and but I understand. Hopefully one day we can start all fighting at our natural weight. No one has to cut any weight at all. But that's just not how it works. I feel like.
Well, and your brain is a muscle too, and so when you're dehydrated like that, I mean that works horrendously on the rest of your body.
Right. Because when you're fighting, your brain's all dried up. You're not really there. Your chin's not going to really even be there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because I interviewed a fighter one time who told me that because he cut dramatic weight the way that he did, he actually broke his hand in the fight because his bone marrow was
weaker.
Right, everything was losing. Why do fighters put themselves through that kind of hell?
Like a lot of they just want the advantage. Like everybody, like I'm gonna cut down as far as I can, like 135, all this stuff.
Blow up the next
blow
day.
Up and get big, And so it's all about the advantage and what they can gain through it. But
the long-term effects.
Long-term effects. And I mean, sometimes it's not even the best decision to do that.
Right, exactly. My primary concern with that is because we've already talked about it. MMA is such a volatile sport. I mean, they make you sign contracts that say you're responsible for everything that can happen up to and including death. And I feel like we're just welcoming this by being irresponsible with the weight cutting process.
Yeah, it's a big deal, man. Like I said, personally for me, it's never been a big deal, but you've seen like even Khabib and like some of these other big guys that can't make weight, Tony Ferguson having to go to the hospital and like things like that. So it's dangerous, man. So it's dangerous. It's just these guys just need to be smarter about how to cut weight and if they should be cutting that much and stuff.
What would you tell an up-and-comer fighter who's unsure about what to do? Because I mean, obviously, you don't want to give away anything that you do, but you've got an up-and-coming fighter, and he's standing in front of you, and he says, "Man, look, I dropped all this weight, and this is what happened." What would you tell them to better it for the next time?
Well, it just depends on what happens, but I mean, there's so many factors that play into it. I mean, you got to make sure that you're drinking lots of water, you're dieting. Dieting's the main thing, man. You want to cut a lot of weight. It's not about just training hard. You can train hard and then eat McDonald's the next day and still be the same weight, or even
right.
So it's about making sure you have the full package when you're coming to cut weight, not half-assed. Not like training hard and then kind of eating all right. It's like making sure that you're eating right, you're sleeping good, you're drinking water, you're training hard. You have to kind of do all of it to do it the correct way. If you're just half-assing it, you're not gonna make weight. You're not gonna do it.
So it's kind of like that guy that likes to go and work out, but then you also see him later on that day with a bag of chips.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Kind of like
kind of like this old boy right here.
yeah.
Got the beer belly going on, man. Dude, what was the last? Because like fighters. I mean, do you even hang out and party and do any of that kind of shit, man? Or are you more?
So I, only when I'm in the off season, really.
Right.
I definitely don't drink.
But do you have an off season though? I mean, see, that's kind of the thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always training.
Right.
I'm always training. I'm talking about like training camp. Like off season for me is like when I'm doing training camp, when I'm cutting weight, when I'm like dieting, when I'm training like 2-3 times a day. When I'm in the off season, I still train every single day.
Right.
But it's just a lot more serious. You got to training camp's a whole different animal because you got to do promoting. You got to do things like this. You got to just kind of just stay on everything. It's a different mindset when you know you're going to face somebody in the ring. So you have a different type of motivation.
From right here in Wichita, Kansas, his name is Steven Nguyen, also known as the Ninja. Homegrown, went to Heights High School, WSU, graduating soon, as you just heard. Steven, as I do with all of my guests, I give them an opportunity to say whatever it is that's on their mind. There's no right or wrong answer here. The floor is 100% yours, amigo.
Hey guys, I just want to say thank you to all my fans and my friends, family, my training partners, Drew Duncan right here, for all the support. And April 13th is going to be my next fight at the Kansas Star Casino. I'm going to be the main event. You guys come out, support, and I'm going to give you guys a good show. Don't blink. It's going to happen.
Everybody, he's Stephen Nguyen. I'm Drew Duncan, host of the Full Court Press MMA. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Don't forget to find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. Don't forget, when you share our post, use the hashtag Don't You Dare Touch That Dial. And as always, don't you dare touch that dial.